let us recall a race. So probably all of us have ran a race, maybe a 100-meter race at any point of our life. Maybe we were young, we were of middle age, or we were a little aged, but we all ran a race. So how does this concept of race works? So we assume that there are around 20 people running in the race, and if you cross that 100 meters line, you will get a prize of $1,000 if you are first. If you're second, you will get around $500, and if you're third, you will get around $200. That is how you differentiate between first, second, and third. Usually, you can have different amounts as well, right? And then think about other guys, other 17 people, what happens to them? Well, if they complete the race, they'll get a certificate, right? Certificate of participation. And that is how usually we have seen all the races happening around. So what is happening over here? Based on your merit, you are getting paid. You are getting some kind of reward based on your merit. That is, you're getting paid for your performance. Fine. Now look at this particular scenario again. Now there are 20 people over there, and the first person is going to get $1,000, second is going to get 500, and third is going to get $200. But I feel that I deserve a lot more than that. So what will I do? I won't participate. Come on, this is not worth doing as far as I'm concerned. So I'm not motivated enough for that. So based on our age and the context, the rewards and the prizes have been very different. So I need to understand that kind of scenario. Now there is another scenario that I present. What if, irrespective of your first, second, and third, I say fine, everybody will get equal money. That is 1,000 plus 500 plus 200, that is 1,700 divided by 20. It comes to around $85 per person. Fine. I distribute that $85 to each participant. Now, what do I do the next time? The next time I'll have a race with the same conditions, people will not run fast. In fact, they'll be like, how does it matter whether I work or not? How does it matter whether I run or not? So what is happening here is that the kind of efforts people used to make will come down. So nobody is running as such. In fact, people were walking. And in fact, they'll say, okay, fine. Next time probably we won't walk at all. Just give us money. That's it. We won't do anything about it, right? So we don't want to work, but we want all the rewards. So what should I do? So here we again come up with the concept that in case I do not come up with good initiatives, good performance incentives, probably the level of performance is going to come down. So recently I read that you can generate electricity through treadmills and the cycles in the gym. So there were some very interesting articles I came across that if you run on the treadmill, you are generating electricity. Fine. Now convert this particular race into this scenario. So it's like saying I'm into a company and this company is into generating electricity through the bicycles and the treadmills. So how do I work out what should I pay for? Should I pay for the person who is the fastest, who runs very fast and generates electricity faster than others? Should I pay for those people who are consistently running at that particular pace and generating a large amount of electricity on a regular basis? Third scenario, what about those guys who are not running enough to generate anything? You know, to generate electricity, you have to have a threshold limit to cross. So I should move beyond the minimum requirements, that is minimum targets, to be achieved so that I can have some incentives. So looking at this particular scenario, what I understand is I need to work out the right performance indicators for which I should be paying my employees. Should I pay only for the fastest one, or should I pay for the one who is consistent performer, who is running consistently, right? And should I not punish those guys who are not able to generate any business at all? So generating electricity is generating business. And when you run, you're actually getting a lot of business for the organization, right? So these are the scenarios when I try to understand pay for performance. Now there are certain perspectives by which we should have a better understanding. One I say is the employer perspective, and second is the employee perspective. Now from the employer perspective, when I talk about the race, actually I'm talking about the employer perspective for sure. Now what happens as an employer? I want people to perform more. optimize their performance, right? I want high performance teams. So if I actually reward the person who is doing more than others, it actually motivates that person. Two, it creates a role model which will be followed by others. And it's also a signal that either you perform or you perish. So if you want to sustain yourself, you have to do something over here. So the companies think from that perspective, let us have something being paid for the minimum requirements of my employees. But then when they start performing, you get on pro rata basis, you're getting paid for those things, right? For your performance. So employer is happy about it. Now, while creating that particular part, employer is actually creating a scenario where people are actually competing with each other. Otherwise, a lot of slackness happens. People become lazy. Nobody is ready to do anything about it. So I need to have some kind of initiative, some kind of performance incentive being shown to the employees. And that I need to decide on the basis of what motivates my employees. So if you look at different motivation theories, you will discover that each motivation theory talks about what motivates others. What motivates you, what motivates me. So the best example of motivation theory is Maslow's hierarchy theory. So at what level my employee is, what exactly that employee requires. So when I said that, fine, maybe some people will not run the race because they find $1,000 as a low amount, right? It's not something worth running for because that person is on a different level on the hierarchy, right? So I need to understand that part. Two, it may be the equity theory that probably my friend somewhere else is getting for the same job something which my company is not able to offer. So I need to understand what is the market offering it. So when I talk about from the employer perspective, I need to understand the key performance indicators which I need to pay for. I need to incentivize. Two, I need to check whether that incentive is actually motivating my employee. What I am offering, if it is peanuts, probably they are not getting motivated. It's for the name's sake. I may be happy about it, but it's not really working, right? So these are the scenarios. Two, there is another scenario for the employer. Should I pay to an individual or should I pay for the team? Now, when it comes to the sales profile, it is easy to actually measure the performance. How many units did you sell, right? So that is very easy to measure. But what about the finance department? What happens to the HR department? What happens to the other departments? Operations might say, okay, fine, there was a quality check I did and we have less failures. We have a high quality products coming in. I've optimized it. But what happens with finance guy? Finance department is actually trying to minimize the cost of funds. Can I give the credit to only one person around there? Probably there I need to have a team incentivization. I might have a team incentivization in sales also where the whole team is moving in that particular region. So each person is helping each other in that process. They actually grow the whole market. I'm not dependent on a single person alone, right? So that happens to be the benefits from the employer perspective. But then as an employer, there are some disadvantages also. What if I do not pick up the right performance indicators? You know, what happens with us is we get motivated for things where I get paid for, I get some incentive. So I'll start ignoring those points which are not getting incentivized. So it's like saying, fine, I have got a door. So the front part of the door I have painted well, but the back part of the door I have not done that well because nobody is going to see it. So I need to understand that when I design this particular part, I have to be very careful that all the key indicators of performance are taken care of. Two, I need to understand the motivation indicators of my employees. What motivates them? What is that thing? So if I do not understand it, probably this scheme will not work. Now let's look from the employee's perspective. Of course, the fire in the belly kinds, I want to achieve something, and of course, we all believe that we are good at something, and when we perform, we want output out of it. So when I do a good job, I want to be paid for it. So I believe that I'll be doing something good, better than my colleagues, and hence I'll progress. Now that is something which as an individual we all think of, but there is a disadvantage as well. Now in this particular process of race in the industry for performance, I might hold up some information with me so that my colleague is not able to overtake me. In that case, probably the whole organization is actually getting disadvantaged, right? So guys, are you open for pay for performance? So look at your choices. Happy learning.